Raise your hand if you think that abuse is when a parent hits their child more than just a spanking. Alright, now raise your hand if you think a parent neglecting to feed or take care of their child is considered abuse. Now, raise your hand if you think emotional abuse is a real thing. Domestic violence affects 1 in every 4 women at some point during their life. Whether you consider yourself a victim, a stranger, or a friend of a victim, it's time to speak up about this. There are a lot of public service announcements that have been made recently that show what domestic violence is really like. Here's one that I found to be really powerful. And so that's just one of many that are out there. There are a lot of different kinds of abuses though. The most often seen is physical abuse. This is most seen because it's actually shown on the outside. No matter how much makeup you put on, there's always signs of bruising. Physical abuse also tends to happen in a cycle. The cycle starts with the tension phase. This is the phase where the victim is afraid to say anything and they feel like they're walking on eggshells in their own home. The second stage is the explosion stage. This is when the abuser actually lashes out and physically abuses their partner. Then the third phase is the honeymoon phase. This is where the abuser does anything in their power to try to gain control over their victim again. This can be done by showering them in gifts or in compliments or telling them that they're sorry and that it'll never happen again. But it does happen. Mental abuse is another really serious kind of abuse. It's often overlooked. Women's Health explains that mental or psychological abuse are attempts to scare, control, or threaten the victim. Mental abuse also leads to physical abuse in most cases. Some different kinds of signs that show mental abuse are when when the abuser is trying to control how money is spent. It's discouraging any friendships or relationships. It's when the abuser tries to isolate their victim, and it's any kind of tearing down of their partner physically or mentally. Sexual assault is another kind of violence that falls under domestic violence. According to Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, in the U.S., every 107 seconds, someone in the United States is a victim of sexual assault. This means that approximately 4 people will be sexually assaulted during this speech alone. The even scarier statistic is that 68% of sexual assaults go unreported. Here are a few other statistics that I found. As you can see, it's that 2 out of 3 children are exposed to trauma and violence. 1 in 5 women in college are sexually assaulted, and 1 in 4 women experience sexual assault throughout their life. Luckily, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence has already started the conversation for us. The reason that domestic violence needs to be stopped is because it can affect you no matter who you are. It doesn't discriminate gender, race, ethnicity, income, or sexual orientation. We need to talk about it and also show support for these victims. Organizations have started banding together to get this conversation going, and it's working. The NFL, 2 years ago, during the Super Bowl, gave a time slot to a PSA against domestic violence. It really caught a lot of people off guard, and it really got people talking. There's also another organization called No More. They have commercials that are shown on a lot of networks as well, and they feature a lot of celebrities telling us that sexual assault cannot happen, that there should be no more of it, and it's a very resounding message. NPR recently did a report on the progress of the NFL and their domestic violence charges since they decided to be supporters of domestic violence awareness. Kim Gandy, the CEO of a large domestic violence foundation, said that people know that domestic violence is wrong. Our next challenge is getting people to identify it in other people and in people you love, and to take action and stop it. That's what needs to happen. We need to talk about it and provide support to those who don't know how to get out of their situation. A lot of people say that if they had one wish, they would wish for world peace. Sounds cheesy, but it happens a lot. But what we need to realize is that peace starts in the home. What we need to imagine is a world without fear of a spouse coming home after work. A world where no kid ever has to see their parents tearing each other down physically or mentally. And a world where a girl doesn't have to be afraid of being sexually assaulted every time she goes and walks somewhere alone. This is a realistic goal, and it really can happen if we work together. What's most important to support this cause is to speak up. It's so simple and everyone can do it. You have no excuse to not talk about domestic violence. Even though it's personal and maybe a taboo subject, it needs to be talked about. If you feel called, you should go beyond this though. Donate some of your money to the local shelters. There's local shelters all over the nation, and they need our help. Whether it's through money or through volunteering, it really makes a difference. We're lucky that in the Bryan College Station area, they have their very own shelter. Phoebe's home is located in Bryan, and from personal experience, just a little bit of time spent there, whether it's just reorganizing a pantry or actually going and playing with the kids after school, it really makes a difference. An hour of our time to them means so much more than an hour to us. Domestic violence awareness might seem like it has a lot of support already, but it could always use more support. Domestic violence is any kind of abuse between intimate partners or any kind of sexual assault. If you choose any cause to support, I beg you to choose this one. As the one statistic showed, 1 in every 5 college women will be sexually assaulted. That's so many of the people that we're friends with. That's our family members that it could happen to. So we need to make a difference by speaking up about it. So go and be a voice for those who don't have one.